Hello, everybody. It is Tom, and I am unwell. Roll the jaunty music. Yeah, so as you could probably tell by my voice and my appearance and my red nose and everything else that's going on with me right now, I am sick. I tested positive for COVID on Thanksgiving morning, which meant that I was not able to go to the first Thanksgiving event that I had been invited to for the last several years. So that sucked. And yeah, what sucks more is that it's hitting me pretty hard. I'm super congested and not sleeping very much. But yeah, trying to keep my spirits up. And one of the ways I can do that is by talking about my favorite show and yours, perhaps. Heartstopper, yay. So the previous video was me talking about my 8 favorite moments from Heartstopper, but pretty much all of them ended up being Nick-centric. So in the comments, it was suggested that this means we now need to know the best moments for other characters as well. So we're starting with that today with my top 5 Charlie Spring moments. So the top 5 moments for me with Mr. Charlie Spring in Season 1 of Heartstopper. So that's what we're going to talk about. And yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts as well. What are your favorite Charlie moments? Did they coincide with mine? And I can't look away from the vast pinkness of my nose. It's very when I was a kid and I would get sick, my dad would call me Rudy Red Nose. So I'm very much giving Rudy Red Nose. I'm very much giving Rudy Red Nose right now. These are my top 5 Charlie Spring moments, counting down from number 5 to number 1. And I switched these around a bunch of times because honestly, they're all number 1 in my heart because all Charlie moments are number 1. Moment number 5. And this is actually 3 moments, so I'm cheating. But Charlie stands up to Ben. So the first time we see this happen is in episode 1 at the end, where Ben asks Charlie to meet him. And of course, Nick follows him, but he doesn't know about this yet. But Charlie basically lays down the law for Ben and tells him, the way you're treating me is not acceptable. And yeah.
Don't you think I, of all people, would understand if you're figuring out your sexuality?
Then why are you angry at me?
I'm angry because you never even slightly cared about my feelings.
So of course, that shows just immense growth on Charlie's part, and the fact that he's willing to stand up for himself is wonderful. And we also see him do this again in episode 3, where he pushes Ben away at Harry's party. And then finally, the most satisfying one, for me at least, is in episode 8, when Charlie kicks Ben's ass at the race and then basically tells him to fuck off.
But you don't get to make me feel like crap anymore just because you hate yourself. So leave me alone. Just leave me alone.
That whole scene is beautiful, and I love the way that Charlie stands up to Ben. And, it's interesting also to notice the difference in Charlie's mood through each of these 3 moments. The first one, in episode 1, he's obviously very upset. The second one, in episode 3, he's kind of angry and on the defensive. And the third one, in episode 8, he just seems at peace. We know that he's really moved beyond caring what Ben thinks about him. Charlie Spring moment number 4 is Charlie talking to Nick about sexuality in episode 6 and just being a super understanding, amazing guy when it comes to Nick not being ready. But yeah, so in general, just the way that Charlie handles Nick not being ready to come out is fantastic. And in this episode in particular, Charlie really gets to be kind of the gay guru for Nick, where, they talk about sexuality in the park on the blanket lying next to each other, and Charlie's able to kind of answer some of Nick's questions about how he realized he was gay. And then when they're about to kiss and Nick pulls away because someone is coming is coming into view with their dog, Charlie is completely he gets it. He understands that Nick is not ready, and he doesn't take it personally when Nick can't kiss him in that moment. He just reassures Nick every step of the way, and that's one of the reasons why Nick is able to come to terms with his sexuality on his own terms, because Charlie is so wonderful about it.
Sorry. Don't be sorry.
Favorite Charlie Spring moment number 3 is from episode 8, where in the hallway, the corridor scene after sports day, or actually during sports day technically, Nick is giving his beautiful speech to Charlie about how he wants them to be together and Charlie's his favorite person and all that. And Charlie just perfectly stops his spiral with hands on his face, saying his name and kissing him.
I believe you. I believe you.
My number two favorite Charlie Spring moment is a double moment, or maybe a continuation, but episode 4, Charlie comforts Nick and then kisses him under the umbrella. So we talked about this in the last video as well, but again, that balance in their relationship of Charlie being able to be there for Nick and just make him feel loved and supported and reassured when he's moving into this uncharted territory of figuring out his sexuality. And then, of course, the beautiful moment of Charlie running after him in the rain. Charlie's just adorable in that whole moment where he runs up to Nick and Nick's like, did I forget something? And Charlie gives a cheeky little look around, and just the way that Charlie says, okay, bye, and then runs off after he kisses Nick gets me every time. I love that scene so much.
Did I forget something? Yeah. Okay. Fine.
And finally, my number one Charlie Spring moment. Of course, what else could it be but the conversation leading up to the first kiss in episode 3. So in this whole scene, both Nick and Charlie are kind of inching their way towards declaring their romantic feelings for each other, and each of them take little steps. So, for example, Nick takes Charlie's hand and suggests that they go somewhere quieter. And then Charlie asks Nick if he has a crush on Tara, and that's another little step. And then Nick says... My brain just went... And then Nick says, you're just going to assume they're a she.
You're just going to assume they're a she.
As kind of that little step of his own. But then Charlie just takes us home. Like, Charlie recognizes what Nick is trying to say. Nick in this moment is freaking out. And the most he can do is tell Charlie that the person he has a crush on is not necessarily a girl. And then Charlie just takes that and runs with it. He asks exactly the right questions.
Would you go out with someone who wasn't a girl? Would you kiss someone who wasn't a girl? Would you kiss me?
And when Charlie says, would you kiss me, the guts this boy has. Like, I mean, he obviously he had to have been reading the signs, but I mean, take it from me, even when someone is being really obvious with their feelings, it's so easy to misinterpret just because you're so used to things not going your way. So the fact that Charlie was gutsy enough to ask that question to Nick and really get their relationship started, so much respect to Mr. Charlie Spring. Those are my favorite Charlie Spring moments, which, to reiterate, standing up to Ben, being super understanding about Nick not being ready to come out, interrupting Nick's spiral with a kiss, comforting Nick and kissing him under the umbrella, and then the would you kiss me scene in episode 3. Those are my favorite Charlie Spring moments for this moment in time. I have a bunch. I went through and wrote out like my favorite moments in every single episode, and I was going to go through those, but I figured a shorter video was probably a better idea for today. So yes, so what are your thoughts? What are your favorite Charlie Spring moments? Tell me in the comments, and yes, that's all. So thank you, as ever, for watching and commenting and liking. And a huge thank you to our patrons, who are wonderful. And a special shout out to our Nick Nelson members, Book Nerd Charlie, Kelly Walker, and Paul Z. I really appreciate you guys. And that's everybody. I appreciate all of you. And I hope that the next time I am on camera, I will not be sick. I hope that the next time I am on camera, my nose will not be red, and I will not be congested, and yes, that is what I hope. Okay, talk to you guys later. Bye.